Hello and welcome to the CLEO Edge podcast. I'm JC Polanco. I'm the CEO of the Council on Legal Education Opportunity. We're so excited to be with you again. We are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month here at CLEO. We're very excited to bring you Lieutenant Reyes-Chavez. Lieutenant Reyes-Chavez is a CLEO alum, and he is in the United States Navy where he serves in the JAG Corps. We're so excited to hear his story. He has a wonderful story that he's going to share with all of you, and I'm sure that so many of you are going to find it inspiring, and a lot of our students are going to be so excited to hear of this incredible journey that Lieutenant Reyes-Chavez took to become an attorney and to serve in the United States Navy today. Thank you, and without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Lieutenant Reyes-Chavez. Lieutenant Reyes-Chavez, welcome so much to the CLEO Edge podcast.
Thank you, JC. I'm very excited to answer any questions you may have and talk about my story.
Lieutenant, how is it going in Florida? I know that you're in Pensacola. You're based out of there. Has the hurricane impacted you in any way?
No, we actually got very lucky. It didn't impact us. It got a little cold and some winds, but that's about it.
Well, thank God, and I hope that those in Florida, especially those CLEO students that are being impacted by the hurricane, are safe. Our thoughts and prayers are with them during this time. But we're delighted to have you, Lieutenant. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, you have such an interesting story about you, and I want to, before we get to talk about your Navy JAG career and how difficult it is to be selected and to actually go through the program and seeing you with all of your successes in the Navy, I really want to know what motivated a kid from Acapulco, a place that many of us here in the U.S. just travel to, or hear of friends that go to for spring break. A kid from Acapulco come to the United States and want to become an attorney and be part of this incredible profession. I want to hear it right from you. I got to just let the audience know.
Yeah.
I met Lieutenant Reyes-Chavez at the Hispanic National Bar Association conference earlier this month. And first of all, I was mesmerized because he had been with a Fort of Law alumni of mine, Captain Padilla, who was there as well. But Lieutenant Reyes-Chavez and I started speaking, and unbeknownst to me and him, here I am, CEO of CLEO, and here he was an alumni of CLEO. He told me his story, and I said I couldn't wait to get him on our podcast. Talk to us. What motivated you?
I mean, I believe it was kind of like the circumstances that I find myself in. I come from a very humble background, and a lot of issues in my family. My father passed away when I was probably 5 or 6. I come from a farming family in Mexico, in a little town close to Acapulco, with a population of about 700 or 800 people. And so coming from a very humble background in extreme poverty, with very limited opportunities, I feel like pushed me to be the best that I could be. And since I was a child, education has always been the way that I saw as the key to be able to exit that environment and be able to succeed. So I guess poverty was one of the most important motivations. Obviously, my family always doing the best to give me the best opportunities. And in fact, one of the reasons why I'm in the United States is because my family believed that I could be the best here in the United States. So,
well, I thank your family daily for bringing you to the United States. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about your story. How did you arrive here in the United States? Talk to us about that venture. There's so many people from Mexico that I've spoken with, and from around the country, really, I've spoken with, who can share in your story. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, so my mother, told me, hey, we're going to the United States, to a place called Salt Lake City. And I didn't know how we were going to do it. So eventually we went to Acapulco, then we flew to the border, and we ended up crossing the border, actually illegally, walking through the deserts. So we got a coyote, which is basically like a guide that you pay to allow you to, guide you through the border and be able to enter the United States. So we walked for about 3 days and 2 nights, and thankfully, nothing happened to us, and we made it safely to Salt Lake City. So that's where my undocumented history and personal struggles began.
Wow. And how old were you, Lieutenant?
I was almost 12, so 11 years old.
Well, an 11-year-old, and you walked all of that. Well, I'm sure you must have. Were you scared?
To be honest, at the beginning, I thought it was an adventure. I was so naive. I had no idea what I was actually doing. I mean, now that I realize crossing an international border, that idea by itself is insane. But I was a child, I thought it was an adventure. But after about 6 hours, 8 hours, you get hungry, and then you need water as well. And I began to feel the pain of being hungry and not knowing where I was going. So then I got scared. After the second day, I was extremely hungry. I mean, just imagine eating nothing or an apple for like 2 days. That was horrifying at that point.
Wow, just an amazing story of struggle and persistence, and it's just I'm just honestly, I think about your story often, and that's the story of so many people that come here to the United States through that same pathway you did. And when you got to Salt Lake City, what a culture shock, wasn't it? That ain't Acapulco.
It was absolutely different in every aspect of the word. So, new country, new language, people look different. I come from an Afro Mestizo community, so most people are, have darker skin. But Salt Lake City, it's very, Anglo, and so different religion, different colors, different environment. I come from the beach, so Salt Lake City has a great lake and a lot of mountains. So I was not used to that, and obviously the people were from a different religion. I was grew up Catholic, and I went to a primarily Mormon state. So big culture shock.
Oh my goodness, I could only imagine what it must have been like going through school and learning English while you're here, and all this time you knew you wanted to be an attorney.
Actually, I wanted to be a scientist.
And then math, what happened?
So no, I wanted to be a theoretical physicist. So I enjoyed math and science. When I was about to finish high school, I realized that I was undocumented. Even though I knew that I was undocumented, I just didn't know how that what that actually entailed or meant. So
and what did it mean when you found out? Because Lieutenant, I teach at the Boardman Community College, and I've had so many students tell me, Polanco, Professor, I didn't know that I was undocumented until I applied for financial aid. Imagine the shock there. How did you find out, and what were some of those impediments that you had as an undocumented student?
So the first time that I actually felt the pain, I guess, of being undocumented is when I tried to get a job when I was about 16 years old. They asked me for my social security number, and I just didn't have one. I actually went to my mother and I asked for that, and she couldn't believe that I didn't understand that to be legally present, you're expected to have a social security number. So that's when I began to understand the impact of being undocumented. And then when I began to apply for schools, even though my academic record was pretty impressive, I was not able to qualify for a lot of scholarships, especially the ones that were federally or state funded. And so for all these opportunities, for all these great schools that I could apply to, I realized that I was extremely limited.
Wow. And at what point did you end up becoming a citizen? How did it happen? Because I know that you continued, obviously you finished your college and you continued persevering. When did it all happen?
So at the end of my high school year, I was very concerned about my future. I was always told that education was the key to achieve your dreams. So I began to work at a restaurant for $6 an hour, my last year in high school. And then I talked to my mother about, what am I supposed to do to get ready because there's no funding for me. So we went to talk to an immigration attorney for the first time. And the attorney said that I was actually going to receive my permanent residency through my mother because she married my stepfather, and my stepfather had petitioned for my mother. So I realized that I was going to get it in about 2 years.
Okay.
So I became a permanent resident back in January 2009. And then eventually a U.S. citizen during finals week. After my first year of finals, which that by itself is a lot of stress. But imagine going through the citizenship process at that point. So I got
you got it, and you got your citizenship during finals.
1L finals. So that was
Wow.
Absolutely stressful.
Amazing. Talk to me. How did you find out about this wonderful program in the Council on Legal Education Opportunity? I know that you are one of our most successful CLEO alum, and I want our students and I want our viewers to hear about how you got involved, what motivated you to be part of CLEO, how did CLEO impacted you, and share your CLEO story with us.
Yes, so I was actually involved with ETS College Bound, and so they a federal program that gave me tons of access to college and information. So when I was at the University of Utah for undergrad, I joined the pre-law program eventually, and Dr. Engar and a lot of other people talked to me about this program that is called CLEO, and I just didn't know what it was. So I went to the website and I saw all this history and amazing opportunities, workshops and events, and then this summer program, and that's how I got involved.
And where did you end up doing your CLEO summer program, the PLSI, the Pre-Law Summer Institute, which, by the way, for viewers who aren't familiar with it, it's the nationally renowned program that really brings folks from all over the country, from backgrounds like the lieutenants, and brings them all together. And for 6 weeks, well, pre-COVID, we're going to go back live this year coming up. Students from all over the country get together and they work on some amazing things. Tell us about it, Lieutenant.
Yeah, so I ended up being selected for the one at Georgia State University in Atlanta. So big city, a lot of people, like you said, from around the world. And that was in the summer of 2013.
And what did you do when you got to CLEO? Tell me, what were some of the things that you worked on, and how did it benefit you as you entered law school and began the road to become an attorney?
So it helped me in many ways. So one of them is understanding how the first year of law school actually works. So CLEO is it's like a very dense program designed to get you ready for the first classes that you're expected to take, like contracts and property law and all different amazing classes. So it gave me an idea in preparation for those type of classes. It also allowed me to see myself in those positions. It allowed me to understand the Socratic method, which is the main method that is used in law school, to understand how to respond to those type of difficult questions, how to think like a lawyer, which is a phrase that you hear all the time, including after you graduate from law school. So it gave me that. It also gave me access to the admissions process, because we did get a bunch of admissions officers going there and talking to us about how to apply for scholarships, how to actually apply to law school, and what the deans think about when they're thinking about selecting students.
Oh, that's fantastic. And as part of the PLSI for CLEO, did you keep that network, the folks that you worked with during those 6 weeks? Are they still part of your network today?
Absolutely. I mean, I am telling you, when I finished the program and I went to law school, these people became extremely close friends. And we used to talk about the classes that we took, and we actually visited each other. Many of my friends ended up in the Chicago area, Indiana, New York. And so we actually have a Facebook group just for us, where we talk about different issues that we have, if anyone is looking for opportunities. So it's a very strong network. And I am telling you, I absolutely love the program. And many of them became almost like, my own siblings.
That's a beautiful story. Lieutenant, I often share the story here in the podcast that I grew up here in the Bronx and I never got to see an attorney. I know my mom used to be a housekeeper for one and clean the office for one. I never got to meet him. Only guy I knew was Matlock on Tuesday nights. First lawyer I met was my business law professor. Was it the same for you as you left the University of Utah and pursued your legal studies?
So mine was a little bit different because, like I said at the beginning, I wanted to be a theoretical physicist. So during that time, because of my undocumented status, I got pretty involved in the community. So I began to do a lot of activism. And through that process, I met a lot of people, that are leaders in the community, but also politicians. And one of them is a former state senator of Utah, Ross Romero, who actually talked to me about law school and why I should consider law school. So that's why I ended up doing the pre-law program and eventually got to law school. So he obviously had a law degree from University of Michigan, and that's how I began to, I guess, talk to lawyers. And actually inspired me to even do an immigration internship with a lawyer in Salt Lake City. So
you mentioned immigration. Today we have, Lieutenant, that it's one of those topics that is near and dear to a lot of us, especially during Hispanic Heritage Month. It becomes a topic that a lot of us focus on. And I just know that there are so many undocumented young people here so many dreamers that when we use the word dreamer, we mean it. And you're pre-dreamer. We're talking about folks that dream of one day being part of this community of citizens, right? The idea that they were brought here as young people through no fault of their own, and only know the U.S., right? Only know and want to be part of us. They're today thinking, how can I become a lawyer? What can I do? What advice would you have for those students that are concerned about their immigration status, but want to pursue a legal education?
I mean, I was in that position for 9 years. I understand how it feels to know that you don't know what will happen to you, whether there'll be some immigration issues. Deportation is one of the concerns that you have, and getting funding for school is obviously another one. So my best advice is to just honestly do the best that you can do. Be the best student. Do anything you can do to become as competitive as possible, academically, by becoming a leader in the community, by doing extracurricular activities, and always be hopeful that things are going to work out. It might take a little bit more time, but it will work out at the end. Education will always, always, always benefit you, even if you don't get to become a lawyer earlier, but eventually you can get there. Talking to people, getting the resources, doing tons of research, and getting connected to people, especially in this case with CLEO, that can give you access to people that went through the same process like me. I understand. I just advise them to just be hopeful and do a lot of research and get connected with people.
That's wonderful. And you've been an activist through and through. And I know that you were very involved in NALSA while you were in law school. Tell us about that experience when you were chairing up that important organization.
Yeah, so I first got connected with the National Latino Law Association back in the summer of 2014. I went to University of Texas at Austin for a moot court competition and the actual conference. And it was actually that time when I first saw people in uniform, and I had no idea they were Navy JAGs or from other branches. But after that, I became the chair of the conference for the following year in Chicago at Northwestern, where I went to school. And we hosted the conference. And so through that process, I learned more about NALSA to the point that I fell in love with the organization. So I ended up running for chair, and I won. And I did it from 2015 to 2016. And then we ended up hosting the conference in Boston at Harbor-Suffolk in Boston College.
That's incredible. And you've done a lot of work in the diversity space, making sure that kids like you were having an opportunity to become attorneys, and very proud of the work that you did over there at NALSA. We still hear about it today through the current membership. Hey, just want to remind you that we're hosting our CLEO Honors Edge reception on November 17th at 6 p.m. in the Greenbrook Traurig Law offices in Washington, D.C. Please visit our website, cleoinc.org, and register for the CLEO Honors Edge reception. Hey, and if you're interested in sponsoring our podcast or donating to CLEO, we would really appreciate your support. Also visit our website at cleoinc.org, and you can just press the donate tab. Every dollar counts. And remember that we here at CLEO are working tirelessly to diversify the legal profession. We're in our 54th year, over 30,000 students served, and next year is our Emerald anniversary. So please consider donating to us today. Thank you so much. Before we start talking about your incredible Navy career and Navy JAG and your story there, I want to just remind you that we're about to enter the fun lightning round here at the CLEO Edge podcast. So okay. I just want to make sure that the music plays. All right, here we go. This is lively, just a quick five questions. All right, TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook?
I don't have TikTok. I don't have Instagram, so my only answer has to be Facebook.
Really? Okay. These young cats will call you a boomer for saying that.
I've been called that before, so I understand.
It's okay. I'm a boomer 24/7. Tell me, if you were not a lieutenant in the U.S. Navy JAG, what would be your dream job?
I have many. I do see myself working for the U.S. government. So probably Department of Justice, Department of Defense, or Department of State. Lieutenant, come on. You would take that over being the first baseman for the New York Yankees? Are you kidding me? I would. Wow, we're very different, let me tell you. I'd be playing first base for the Yankees right about now. I'm
Um,
better with my brain than with my hands, I guess.
all right, all right. Baseball, football, or soccer?
I would say American football.
All right.
But if Mexico plays soccer, I always follow Mexico for soccer. So that's
That's
the only
great.
caveat.
Okay, so American football, what team? And
I have a
Buffalo
couple.
Bills?
So yeah, the Seahawks. I lived in Seattle, so I love the Seahawks. College, I went to University of Utah, so go Utes. So Utah
Okay.
Utes, and then Northwestern. I follow the Cats as well.
Let the record reflect the council did not mention Navy.
And
And
well,
Navy.
the Navy's football team is not that great, so that's kind of
I know.
but yeah. But the Navy Army game is great, so
Android or iPhone?
I'll go for the iPhone.
All right. All right. And lastly, what is your favorite movie and why is it A Few Good Men?
A Few Good Men is certainly my top five, and that's how I got inspired to join the Navy. That's one of the reasons, because the uniform is amazing. I love the uniform, and that chocolate white that you see is just amazing.
I've seen you in those dress whites. I gotta tell you, man. I gotta say. So, what's the number one movie?
I would say Titanic.
Titanic, okay.
People that know me know that I've been passionate about the movie since I was, back in high school. I actually wrote a paper about it. But yeah, I'm the type of person.
Is it because it's a ship? Is it because it's on a ship and you're a Navy man?
There's always this connection with me and water and ships, so that's certainly one of the reasons why.
It's probably because you missed water when you were in Utah.
Yeah, that's correct. I couldn't swim in the Great Salt Lake. So.
Now, I got to tell you now, thanks so much for entertaining us with the lightning round. I want to move on now to your Navy career. Just for full disclosure, I am a huge fan of Navy JAG and really the JAG Corps throughout the country. Several times I wanted to be a JAG officer, and I got to tell you, it was JAG the series and A Few Good Men in my high school years. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I could recite that cross-examination between Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise in any audition anywhere.
Yeah.
I want to know about you. Tell me, is it anything like what we see in the movies? Is it anything like that? And what motivated you to become a Navy JAG and to pursue this career? Such an exciting opportunity, and it's so selective. Tell the viewers how selective it is. Don't be shy.
Well, there are basically two main ways to become a JAG through the student program. So you apply, it's about a 12% acceptance rate, 14%. And as a practicing lawyer, if you have a license, it's a lot more difficult. It's about 5% acceptance rate.
Wow. It's that's very selective. And as a CLEO alum, I love to show off to everyone those statistics because you were a practicing attorney when you went in.
That's correct.
And that's the most difficult route.
Yeah.
So when you go in, tell us about the process. I know that a lot of our participants are looking for careers and they're looking at the JAG Corps, especially Navy JAG. So tell us about that. How did you go about it? How was the process? Tell us the Naval Justice School and ultimately what you're doing today.
Yeah. So just to answer the prior question concerning why I wanted to be a JAG, back in high school, I was part of the Junior Navy ROTC program. And so I was able to wear the uniform. And I guess one of the reasons why I couldn't pursue it further is because I wasn't documented. But then I went to, like I said, at UT Austin. I began to interact with Navy JAGs, and they were always asking me to apply. They're always looking for people that want to be leaders in their community. So they saw the leadership potential, and they were always telling me to apply. So when I was in Seattle, I was thinking about it, and I decided to do it. Now, I was used to getting whatever applications I submit approved, but the Navy JAG definitely concerned me because I thought I was not going to get selected just because of how selective it is. But yeah, it's a normal application that it feels like you're applying to a bar association. So it's it's a lot of background. Your record has to be really good. You have to be medically fit, physically fit. There is an FBI investigation. So basically what happens is you submit your application, and about 2 months later, there's something called professional recommendation. So they have to select you, and you have to be professionally recommended. After that, you go to something called MEPS, where they take a bunch of samples from you, I believe urine and blood and all those different things to make sure that you're good to go. During that time, you are being investigated by the FBI. Eventually, they say he's good to go. Then, because you are a commissioned officer, Congress has to basically approve you, I guess. And after that, you go to Officer Development School for about 5 weeks, and then you go to Naval Justice School for 3 months. And so it's a pretty long process.
What do you do there? Tell us about the Naval Justice School. What do you do there?
Yeah, so it's pretty. I mean, it's obviously military justice oriented, and so you learn about criminal law, but as a practicing military counsel. You also learn about administrative law. You learn about operational law, so Geneva Conventions,
Mhm.
and things like that. So it's pretty. It's kind of going to law school in a very fast-paced environment, even more than law school. So
Okay.
it's a little intense, but you learn so much, so much.
And what opportunities after you finish Naval Justice School exist?
So during that process, you are selecting your first command basically, and so they give you tons of options from Naples, Italy to Japan, and also many locations in the United States like San Diego and um, Norfolk and Bremerton. So you basically work with a detailer who's the person that selects the new location, and you talk about your priorities and why you have to go to that location. So they look at the need of the Navy, the need of the different JAGs, and then also your personal preference.
And why would someone want to look into this as a career? Why would there be a young person out there saying, I should look into this as okay? Could you tell us what is it about wearing that uniform, being an officer in the United States Navy, being an attorney in the Navy? What would you tell that person?
There are three different things that I kind of like believe makes the JAG Corps unique. So one of them is the amount of trials and hearings that you do. I believe I argue one or two motions when I was a practicing attorney for 2 years. In the Navy, I've done 4 contested trials, I believe over 40 different administrative separation hearings, and a bunch of guilty pleas. So you get tons of experience that you don't really get in other platforms. And that's one. So another one is definitely serving your country. I mean, it's you are going to join a community that is not available to everyone. But once you join, you are going to have a family forever. Wherever I go and I find anyone from any branch, we always become the same family. And so this sense of pride and honor of wearing this uniform, it's something that I've never felt before and that I will always be grateful for. And the other one is you're also a public servant. So you are helping people in one of the most stressful situations in their life, either as advising a commander at sea or a sailor who just joined the Navy a month ago. It's just a very different type of experience.
Lieutenant, is there opportunity to travel for a Navy JAG officer?
Oh yeah, I mean we operate worldwide. So wherever you want to go, Germany, Spain, Italy, Japan, we have locations everywhere. If you want to stay in the U.S., that can happen. If you want to be deployed, that can happen. I was deployed one time on the USS Nimitz, and I was able to see the fleet, how everything
Wow.
operates. It's absolutely fascinating.
I want to hear, I know we're running out of time, but I really want to hear the diversity story that you're working on in Navy JAG. I know I met you at a convention at the Hispanic National Bar. I know you're going to others. How important is diversity? And how important is diversity for you here at Navy JAG in your current role?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone knows that diversity is always a positive thing because diversity brings different type of leadership experiences. So, like I said, in my case, coming from a different country, speaking Spanish, coming from poverty, from a single parent household, all those different experiences are going to enrich the experience of my clients. It's going to allow me to be a better attorney for them, and I'm sure that's what the Navy appreciates and values diversity, and that's in almost every other company as well. So diversity, it's always a positive thing, like I said, and it's always valued by everyone. And if you don't see that, then you're missing something.
Yeah. And at this moment in time, talk to me about diversity with Navy JAG specifically.
Yeah.
What do you see happening? Why would you encourage someone from a diverse background to consider joining the Navy? Do you see diversity? Is it growing? Are the numbers growing currently? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I feel like as in any other place, diversity it's lacking in the Navy, and I say that as a personal opinion. I often find myself as one or two, I guess, ethnically diverse individuals wherever I go. So it's definitely lacking. But the Navy in different programs are doing a lot, and one of them is actually attending conferences like the Hispanic National Bar Convention, annual convention that took place in DC. And in my case, I have something called, I'm part of that role that is called diversity liaison. So I am one of three diversity liaisons from the Navy to HMBA. So that's what we're doing to try to recruit more talented, diverse candidates. So yeah.
Lieutenant, where can potential Navy JAG applicants connect with you if they have any questions, if they want to apply? I know that if any of you want to be part of CLEO, you already know CLEOinc.org. You could always contact us. We're available for you 24/7. But Lieutenant Reyes-Chavez, tell us about how can a potential applicant connect with you?
My Navy email is Eduardo, that is EDUARDO .Reyes-Chavez REYESCHAVEZ @navy.mil.
Perfect. And then you're also on LinkedIn?
I'm on LinkedIn. Just look for Eduardo Reyes-Chavez, and you are going to see me with my cool uniform.
Great. And you know what? Unfortunately, I'm too old to wear that beautiful uniform you got on. But let me tell you, I would have looked great.
Yep, I agree. I definitely agree.
Lieutenant, we're honored to have you with us today. I was so excited, as you know, to have you on our program. You have such an incredible journey, one that is the road less traveled. To be here as a dreamer before there were dreamers, and to go to Utah of all places, right? And to continue your following your dreams for success. And I'm glad you made it a point to tell our folks that for many of us in our community, education is the key to the success. And you and your mom taught you that early on. And it's so excited to hear from you and how that motivated you and your CLEO story. Thank you so much, Lieutenant.
No, thank you for giving me some space, and I appreciate the interest, and I thank you for your time as well.
Thank you. Well, there you have it. I want to thank all of you for joining us at the CLEO Edge podcast for our second episode. We're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month here at the Council on Legal Education Opportunity. Please visit us at www.cleoinc.org. That's CLEOINC.org. Please stay in tune with all of our updates. Our major reception that we have, the Vernon Jordan Awards, our CLEO Edge reception that's happening on November 17th at the Greenberg Traurig offices in Washington, D.C. We'd love to have you join us there. If you're interested in sponsoring or donating to our cause of diversifying the legal profession, please go to our website and click on that donate link. Every dollar counts, because as we move forward in this bold new way that we're going into 2023, we're going to bring our programs live again, and that's going to require a lot of support. And for every dollar you help us with, we're going to make sure that we diversify the legal profession around the country. Now more than ever, we need it. And I want you to know that CLEO is in its 54th year of doing it. We have over 30,000 students that we've supported throughout the years. Our programs are nationally renowned, and we are continuing next year in our Emerald anniversary boldly and moving stronger than ever. So we really need your support. So please visit CLEOinc.org and click on that donate button. If you have any questions, please contact us right on our website. We'll get back to you right away. Join us for our next episode, where we will have Brigadier General Ron Sullivan joining us from the U.S. Army JAG Corps, and I'm looking forward to that one. Thank you very much, and I see you soon.